Hey, sports card collectors and investors, how's everybody doing? It is Sunday morning, and first off, apologies. I know I've got kind of some shadow issues here with the lighting. I am working on getting some additional lighting to kind of help with that, but I'm just going to have to roll with it this morning. I'm getting up early Sunday morning. It's the first Sunday of full football. I just kind of rolled out of bed and I'm trying to get this video done before the kids get up, before my wife gets up, etc. And so I wanted to just try to get it in before everything gets going. So guys, it is football Sunday. I'm a diehard New Orleans Saints fan for those that are new to this channel, and I'm excited to kind of get things rolling here. If you have not subscribed yet, we have more than 200 videos on this channel all about collectibles investing, personal finance as a whole. We touch on sports card investing, comic books, graded video games, etc. So please subscribe if you haven't already, and we will go ahead and get into it. So today I'm going to be talking about an app that I thought was really interesting. I saw an interview yesterday, I believe it was on Go GTS Live, and it was with the CEO of an app called Collectible. And Collectible is a company, from my understanding, it's been around for a little while. They've started out kind of doing historical price data. They had an app for it, and it was basically pulling information from different auction houses for various collectibles investments. They have since, and I believe it's the same company, shifted into something more of fractionalized shares of sports memorabilia and sports cards being a part of memorabilia. So very interesting interview, and this is something that we've seen it pick up. I did another video on Rally Road, which is another company that does something similar to that. Although one difference I would say, at least now, is that Rally Road does all sorts of things from collectible cars, stamps, all sorts of different collectibles. So they're doing, sports cards, classic cars, and things like that. Whereas Collectible, from what I understand, is right now at least just solely focused on sports cards and sports memorabilia. So we'll see if that changes over time, but right now that's the way that it is. So the guy that they were interviewing, his name was Ezra. He's the CEO. I believe it's Ezra Levine, and he is the CEO of Collectible. The company allows sellers to, this is something that I thought was really interesting, the company allows sellers to retain some sort of equity in their offering. So they were using an example of a 50s Mickey Mantle card that they just sold, and it was a $2.5 million card, is I believe his current valuation, with $1 million offered to the public, with the other 1.5 million staying with the active sellers, in essence. So it was 40,000 shares at $25 each, and that makes up the $1 million that's being offered to the shareholders, to the public, essentially. So I thought that was a really interesting way of going about it. So I guess if you are, so somewhat of a high-end consignor, so these are high-end stuff, and they were talking to them about it. And really, I think for it to make sense for them, their average, kind of item is anywhere in that, $50,000 and up range. But, they're looking at stuff that's obviously a lot more than that. So I think at a minimum, they're probably needing to be in that $50,000 range roughly for one item, for it to make sense for everybody. One question that they didn't answer or didn't get asked is, what's the process as far as pulling your money out? Sometimes, if it's something to where you can kind of trade very quickly, then that's great. But I have also seen, not with sports cards necessarily, but in like real estate, for example, where you have fractionalized shares, there's a period of time where you have to hold, where you can't sell, essentially. So, and that might be months. And so that was the one question where I would like to get answered is, what is that time frame as far as, are these quick trades where you can trade in and out very easily? Or is it something where, you have to hold for a certain period of time before you can sell? That was something that I wanted to kind of touch on, or something that I would look into before I would invest in it, potentially. The other thing, and the other question that that was asked, which I thought was a really good one, is what is the level of protection if Collectible goes out of business? So, if you've got $50,000 invested in a rare Mickey Mantle card, and Collectible goes out of business as a company, what does that mean for your holdings? And essentially what the CEO said, which I thought was a really good answer, is that it's completely separate. The actual holdings are completely separate from the business. So there's really no effect. So if Collectible runs their business into the ground, they go out of business, then it doesn't affect your holdings, which I thought was good, because that was something that I was worried about. They also do keep everything in a physical vault. Didn't really go into, a lot of like, where is it, how is it maintained, but they were basically talking about, it's in, I'm assuming a pretty serious safe or in a safety deposit box, or they're keeping it in storage that is reliable, which you would hope that they would if we're talking about $1 million, worth. If it's millions and millions of dollars of of cards and memorabilia, you would think that would be the case. But they did kind of touch on that in the interview, which I thought was good. So this is so interesting to me, and more of these companies are starting to come out. Do you think this is going to become a thing? Is it something that you would be interested in? I know that when I had talked about Rally in the past, I had viewership, that said, "Hey, I've got money in Rally." So I know that people are doing it. So I'm just kind of curious from the viewers: is this something that you've done? Is it something that you would be interested in? Essentially owning, shares of, a Honus Wagner card, or that LeBron RPA, or the Michael Jordan rookie card. It's intriguing to me. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, while I do think that it's a cool idea, I really like holding the cards. That's kind of my hang up with, a lot of the newer platforms that are more of just kind of, trading cards as stocks essentially online. I think it's a great idea, and I think that there's, certainly a place for it. I'll probably get into it at some point down the road, those things, especially for cards, maybe like lower end cards where I'm not necessarily collecting, or it's not something that is, it's not a card that I'm really, it's not like a vintage card that I really want to hold on to, for example, really want to like look at. If it's just something where I'm flipping quickly, then maybe that's, maybe that makes sense. But for me, I think it would be cool to say I own a piece of that card, but it's not the same as actually owning the card, which, but obviously I don't think I'll ever be in a position to buy that $1 million card. So, there's, that's the only other option. So I guess that is kind of a cool way to own something like that. Anyway, I don't know. I'm in a wait and see mode. I'm going to see how these apps and these companies, get going. And then who knows, maybe in a few years this will be very mainstream, and we'll get into it. But and then also have a lot more offerings as well. I think that's the other thing, is just having a variety of offerings. I did see Emmitt Smith, the Hall of Fame football player. He's a part of Collectible to some degree as well. I'm not sure if he's investing or if he's offering memorabilia for sale. I think it's probably more on that end, because again, the one thing that's very unique is the owners can retain some equity in it. So, you put something out there, and if it sells for, if it's $1 million valuation, the seller holds on to a piece of it. That way, if something goes from 1 million to 5 million, you're still able to kind of maintain some of that growth, which is interesting. I mean, that's an interesting take on it. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Is this something that you would get into or entertain down the road? Let me know. And like I said, if you have not subscribed, thank you again for joining us. Please jump in, guys. We've got daily content on this stuff, and we're having a blast doing it. So take care. We'll talk to you later.